Holy crap! That is I'm. Ah!
Sorry, are you okay, Shane?
that was just nuts. Sorry, my camera went crazy and the white balance went all out and stuff, and then suddenly I was like being irradiated by Don Johnson's greatness. I don't know how Don Johnson popped into my head, but there you go. Hi everybody, welcome to the latest episode, which is episode I believe 8 of the Crafty Boys, and we've got the full crew here this time. Of course, Dave, Allen, and Locke, and myself, Shane. But I'll let them introduce each of themselves because this week we've got some. Well, we're all drinking different beer, so we had a plan, and that plan went sideways because apparently, what?
It seems to happen.
What we do.
This is true. I mean, I will put it this way. I looked for the beer earlier in the week, and I couldn't find it anywhere. I couldn't find any Rogue anything anywhere. Again, I went to 3 different places. But Allison thought she'd have a crack at it tonight. She went out and looked around and couldn't find it anywhere. And apparently a couple of places that I had been to had said to her that they haven't had Rogue at all for a while, like a couple of years apparently. So I don't know what's going on there, but I could not get access to that beer at all. And of course I saw it in Victoria where Alan lives, and of course that bugger's got the bottle right on his desk there. So Alan, since this week is your choice for different awesome beers, what did you drink? And I hope you have the bottle right nearby because the bottle.
I do have the bottle right nearby, and it's a pretty awesome bottle, and it should be for what I paid for it. We talked about this last week a little bit. I ended up getting the Rogue Voodoo Doughnut, which is actually a series of beers, and the last one was a maple bacon beer, which I tried.
Okay.
Wasn't very good. But this one is the pretzel, raspberry, and chocolate ale. It comes in a pink bottle that looks like it's filled with Pepto-Bismol, which maybe I would require after drinking this. I got this is made from Rogue Brewing. I believe it is going out of I don't want to say print. They don't print beer, but going out of production. And I don't know if it'll ever come back, but I'm going to give it a bit of a try. Where's Rogue out of? It's
I want to say it's out of Vancouver, but I could be completely wrong.
No, it's somewhere in the States, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The bottle is really cool. So anyway, since we have the power of Oregon, yeah, okay. Well, Oregon does a lot of really good shit.
Okay, so here we go.
Let's go.
Okay.
That's really good. I can really taste the chocolate and the raspberry.
What about the pretzels?
I can't really taste pretzel, but definitely chocolate and raspberry.
Can't complain about that. That's not a terrible thing to have.
It's actually it's a lot better than the previous Voodoo Doughnut, the maple bacon. That was gross. A very qualified gross.
I like your simple description. It was gross.
Yeah.
Just
Disgusting.
gross. Okay, well, it was gross.
No. This one's good. But
No, sorry. This one's good. That one was gross. Moving on to Dave. Dave, what are you drinking? And I know that you had a bit of a challenge too as well.
Indeed. Yes. But I did find a Rogue, which is interesting given that you're saying you had almost no luck with it in Van.
Nothing. Not a thing.
I found... Actually, there was a couple, or was it 3 Rogues in the shop I went into. And this one is the Hazelnut. Hazelnut Brown Nectar, they call it.
Okay.
So
Tell us more.
Ale with natural hazelnut flavor, it says. And it's got a hipster dude, so I don't know, points off for it.
It's got a hipster dude,
Right.
so it can't be wrong.
We won't. I won't hold that against them, I guess.
So let's have a taste. Come on. Get in there. I want to see your face when you first pull this
I
up.
want to
Come
say
on.
that Rogue has a lot of hipsters on their bottles.
Yeah, I mean,
And
that's
he's coughing.
Back.
angle.
Should we be concerned? Dave collapses on the
No, we're
floor
good.
in a heap.
Goes into seizures.
Got a nut allergy.
Hipster seizures.
So,
Nut allergy. Yeah, that would be a good one to be discovering now.
Yeah.
I like it. I can't say I'm noticing a whole lot of hazelnuttiness, but
No?
there does seem to be some hazelnut going on there. It's tasty. I really like it.
All right.
I could drink more.
Well, that's a positive review
Yeah.
so far. All right. Locke,
You could call
Now-
this. You could call this an easy drinker.
an easy drinker? Easy drinker.
Indeed.
So, Locke, you saw a very similar beer, of course, on your end, but you chose differently.
well, first of all, where is Lockhart located today?
So I'm in Vancouver right now.
Oh, so you
Yeah,
found
there was an excursion to the UK, and I actually have a field report from drinking in London. So the Witherspoon's guest entry from Canada this year was Vancouver Island's shipwreck.
Oh,
Oh, okay. Now,
and?
so, oh no, he's still. Sorry, I thought you froze there for a second. I was just going to make a comment that if you can see this on the stream, which you probably can, Locke is not only in Vancouver, but he's also in a Christmas made of his face in hell. So, so Locke apparently can't see this, but
Yeah, no.
his computer is giving us this sort of.
According to my screen, it's sort of like I don't have a lot of lighting in this room, but so mostly I'm just being lit by the screen itself. But it looks normal. It's not like it's all crazy.
Well, when you see it, you're going to love it because it does look like Christmas in hell.
I'm into that kind of stuff. It's
It looks like an Andy Warhol thing going on with this little image down below.
It does actually.
I don't know what I think about Andy Warhol, but I mean, you know.
So, Locke. So the beer that you got is tasty. Yes. What exactly? What is it? Did you actually just tell me what the name was? I've totally forgotten already.
Right. So I look. So I do have comments to make about Rogue Brew. One,
All right,
that they've
fire away.
been champs for a long time. My liquor store career, such as it was brief. But during that time, I got well used to placing their product, and it sold regular. Like it was something that we could guarantee was gonna fly off the shelves every time Rogue did something new and different, and that's what they do, is something new and different. People took notice, and it's the new and different. It's taking an adventurous position on things, right? Like that's what made that brand work. And Voodoo Doughnut seems like it was exactly that kind of approach. And I look, I believe them when they say that it's delicious. Tempted enough by the idea of a sriracha porter. Sriracha porter? Or was it a stout? Sriracha stout. I wasn't tempted enough by the idea of sort of, Asian cuisine hot sauce with a lot of garlic in my stout. So I ended up going with and there was an economic incentive as well, I have to confess. Being a cheap Scot motherfucker like I am, I kind of went with the $2.60 sale on Blanche de Chambly, which usually costs $5. So yeah, I did that. Sorry.
Well, you can't go wrong with that logic. I mean, really, it's like, would I like to have a conventional bomb, or should I have a nuclear warhead? I mean, you know, it's the nuclear warhead is going to cost me $40 billion, but that conventional warhead, $10 on the street corner. So I can't fault you for your logic there, man. And by the way, I noticed that your camera is actually split off center, and your head.
Yeah, I
if
noticed
you go
that.
to the, if you go to your right, your head on our end pops out on your left. So I don't know, something screwy going on with your setup there, man. It's hilarious.
We're going to experiment on this. I'm going to hang up and I'm going to reconnect. Just see if it changes it at all, okay?
Sure, why not? Go nuts, fill your booth. So anyway, to finish off here, my beer is this. It's in a Guinness glass, but it is a Bomber Brewing IPA, of which I have a lot right now. You see, I have a story. Come here, camera 3. So, when you throw a party with a bunch of other people, and you say, hey, I'll bring a keg, and they're like, yeah, bring a full keg, and I'm like, okay, let's get like a half keg, because, you know, there's going to be like 40, 50 people there, and a half keg is probably enough, especially when there's the booze around. And then they're like, no, totally, bring a full keg. I'm like, okay, fine. So, we get a keg from Bomber. We're like, yeah, we're totally going to have this party. It's going to be great. So the keg shows up. People start drinking the beer. Good as gold. You know, we're all excited. There's all kinds of cool stuff that's going on at the party. It was a weird, surrealist party. We were all dressed up all crazy like. And anyway, a couple days later, the keg shows back up at our house. And, you know, they were very helpful, brought it back for us because, you know, the party wasn't over when I left, which was about 1 a.m. And so what happened is we got more than a half full keg sitting in my kitchen. So I've been enjoying the IPA for a couple of days now, and Locke has actually been over once or twice to enjoy the IPA. So you can guess, Locke, what I'm drinking right now.
I think come over. And,
So if you guys want to pop over this weekend, it is a long weekend. You know, you can of course enjoy this. Well, starting to get flat beer, but it's beer. So that's the beer I'm drinking tonight because I'm a particular fan of Bomber because I like their stuff. So and they're local as well, so that makes it all the better. So and Locke, I want to say I'm congratulating you on returning, and you look totally normal. The
yes.
Christmas hell is gone. Your camera looks normal now. And there you go. So yeah, so you're going to enjoy the Christmas hell for a little bit from earlier on. Now, boys, we have about 15 minutes left in the show because, you know, we were talking last week about making sure the show is a little more concise and a bit more, you know, tighter. So I do actually have a timer running. We got 15 minutes or 14:59 now. But so the beers we actually have this week are totally all over the place. We got some. Yours is a stout, right, Locke?
Mine is a what?
You said it was a stout?
No. Blanche de Chambly is
it's
light one.
Blonde. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So then we've got Dave's, which is like, you know, a very strange hipster beer, and then Alan. Now yours is an ale, or is it? What is it? What zone is it in?
It doesn't actually say. That's the thing.
It kind of it looks dark from what I can see.
It is very dark.
So I'd probably say it's probably a stout-ish, somewhere in that range, or just a very dark ale.
It's just a dark ale.
So I'm trying to sort of lead us into the man topics of the week. Now, Dave, I know that you had some man topics because you mentioned them to me a little while ago. Are you wanting to throw those into the ring today?
Oh, dude. You mean stuff we were talking about for your own cast?
No, the other stuff. You know, the really
Plus?
boorish stuff. Yeah, the cool stuff, you know, the trucks and stuff.
The trucks
You don't
and
remember at all, do you? How much have you had to drink today?
stuff. I know.
Well, I see. All right, well, moving right along. Locke, hey, how's it going, man? You want to talk about some man stuff? What kind of man stuff have we got on the schedule today?
Oh, man, stuff. Okay, so I went on a date, like, yesterday.
With a girl?
Well, you might well ask. Yes, but one of the first things she had to say was that mostly she digs chicks.
That's okay.
Well, no, I know. It's great. I mean, I was like, really? That's awesome. I'm so pleased to hear that. But yeah, I mean, she's all like explaining to me that, like she's not into monogamy, and I'm like, oh no, really?
This is terrible.
Awesome.
It sounds great.
I hate commitment.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, what can I say? I mean, it was sort of great. Like, there's some chicks where it's an opposites attract thing. This one is sort of like just like a female version of me. It's scary. Like, no, I mean, she's a hedonist. She likes having a good time. Awesome. Yeah, I don't know where it's going, and at the end of the day, she seems busy. So, I gather she's got a fair bit on the go, and mostly chicks. But I mean, man, if I land that one, oh, Lord, that'll be a happy me.
It's really kind of interesting because I'm sitting here along with Alan, actually, kind of going, I don't remember the last time I went on a date. Like you date your spouse, but you don't go. You might go on a date night thing, but I'm talking about like getting to know somebody new, like with a date.
I think it's a bad idea to date people new. I think you should act normal around people new. That's the trick. If you can figure out a way to act normal around them instead of going on dates, you'll be like that much further ahead.
Well, what does that look like to you? What does acting normal look like? Describe that to me, in comparison to a date.
Except in my instance, like, my home is sort of like not like I don't have a TV. At the end of the day, I got to get me some TV. I mean, you can watch stuff on your computer screen or whatever, but I mean, it's sort of like, I don't know. At some point, you kind of like. So here's a question for you, Shane. You're a guy who's got an awesome TV. How much do you value your TV? Do you see it as not just like a piece of, entertainment value, but also social infrastructure?
That is a very good question. I value my TV because I like my movies. I like the films to be big. I mean, Alan, you're with me on this. The bigger the TV, the better kind of idea. But I don't necessarily put value in that as well. Like were somebody to come and steal my TV, for example, like if somebody burglarized my home, and they took the TV, I probably wouldn't be all that broken up by it. It would be kind of annoying and like, oh shit, I lost a fairly expensive TV, but damn it. But it wouldn't be like, it's not like I wouldn't fall to the floor and scream to the gods and say, my God, Zeus, what have you done? It wouldn't be anything like that. I mean, Dave, you don't have a TV, I don't think, as well. I mean, you where you live, there is a TV available to you, but what kind of?
Indeed.
Like what kind of?
I had a TV in, I don't know how many years. It's all my computer, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
Oh, you see, that's my lifestyle as well. Like, I tend to watch a lot of TV on my computer.
Well, it's interesting you guys mentioned that because right now, I believe it's Rogers. I'd have to double check that, but Rogers is actually trying to sell people on the fact that if you have a Rogers cell phone with a data plan and you watch Rogers hosted information, they're gonna. I mean, just Bell does this too, but there's a lot more of these carriers that are trying to say that it doesn't count against your data if you watch it off of our system. So there you go. I will say for me, I haven't had cable. I mean, I've had a TV, but I haven't had cable for quite some time. Actually, I didn't have a TV for a while either. About 10 years ago or so, because I had a crappy TV that didn't work half the time, and then I got another free TV from like the garbage room in our building. It wasn't until 2008 where I actually got the big TV, but that was a present. It wasn't. It was somebody came to the home, my mother, and said, "Hey, you need a bigger TV," and that was it. That was kind of the end of it on my birthday. So hey, got to do a TV. Anyway, you're going to say, Locke.
I was going to say two things. One, not that our generation is going to get to retire, but if I ever did, I would want to spend my late days watching one of those old tube TVs. You know what I mean? Like movies on those.
You're talking like the old sort of the circle
I'm talking like
1950s kind of thing?
Doesn't even have to be that old. I mean just a regular sort of tube TV from let's say the late 70s, back when they were still putting them in wooden cabinets would be.
Yeah, I was just gonna say because I used to have one of those in
yeah.
And then my parents got a smaller TV that was more compact, had a similar size screen, and I have fond memories of that wooden TV because it lasted for a long time, and eventually just erupted into fire at one point, and that was kind of it. But they lasted forever. They were fairly bulletproof. You were saying, Alan?
I would say that, and I've been saying this for a couple of years, I think those console TVs are going to become like a collector's item type thing, where people will be paying thousands of dollars for intact units, 10, 15, 20 years from now.
I was trying to, because I remember quite often taking the back off that old TV just to not really touch it, but there was such an amazing, there were still vacuum tubes in that damn thing. Mm-hmm. So, it was kind of an amazing thing to watch or to even just view, but, that's the nerd in me, right? But
that's actually an interesting area of ultimately antique.
Well, exactly. Could you imagine like anything with a vacuum tube these days? I mean, my parents actually have this old record collector's thing, not a collector, but it's like an old piece of furniture that has a record player built into it, plus an old radio, and I gather it's from like the late 40s, but it even has shortwave radio, and this is kind of interesting that shortwave radio kind of fell. It was just forgotten. There were some people that were listening to it here and there. But I was watching or listening to CBC Radio the other day, and apparently shortwave radio is making a comeback because people have forgotten that shortwave radio travels, forever, and podcasts like this one, in theory, you could broadcast the audio, on a shortwave system for fairly inexpensive equipment, right? So. And shortwave radio is also not regulated as much as it used to be because it's, again, a forgotten technology.
Well, yeah.
So anyway, so here's to shortwave radio. But so I don't know. I
used to vacuum tubes.
I think that vacuum tubes, are forgotten, but I think you're right, Alan. I think that eventually they will become like some sort of collector's item that will be sought after in a way. But could you imagine the people that are actually going to have? What if somebody acquires a TV that's relatively intact, but it's busted because of some equipment inside? How much are they going to spend just to have someone fix it? Because there's like 4 people on the planet at that stage. 20 years from now, that might actually a vacuum. What? Oh, right, those things. Yeah, I've dealt with those. I don't know.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of interesting. But
you can still get tubes. Whether they're the right type for the TV is the question.
Well, that's a good point. I mean, the big thing I think is, being all men here, right? So, do you use your computer screen or your TV as some sort of comparison of your male prowess?
Is my TV like an extension of my genitalia? No, not at all.
Look,
did you just say the word genitalia?
The better.
No. I think you're going the wrong way. It's not. It ain't like that. But here's. But let me tell you what I want.
What you really, really want.
What I want is one of those projection bombing scenarios where I've got like a projector with a battery attachment that makes it mobile, where I can do the shit, the dead mouse and shit like that,
Right,
buildings and that kind of thing. I want to figure out how to do that, because if I have that as as an option, then my home system is I just point it at the wall, right?
Well, that's true. I mean, you think about the LED lights that are now being produced, because for the longest time, projectors were, they worked really well, but they were kind of cost prohibitive over time because the bulbs themselves were so incredibly expensive. like my sister, for example, has a 60-inch projection TV that was right at that cusp of projection to, LED TVs and whatnot. So, like the projector's LED, but the projection, the actual TV, anyway, whatever. But anyway, the problem is the bulb is supposed to last for quite some time, but in that one it lasted about 5 years. So I guess maybe they just watch really a lot of TV. But I replaced it, and it cost like $300 for the bulb, and they only rate it for something like 1,800 hours of crazy amount. That's not even. It's not that.
$300
So,
for the bulb.
Yeah, so I mean but then of course with the projectors nowadays that are being built, they're using LEDs now because LEDs last so much longer, and take such little power. So compared to like halogen or any of the other ones. So yeah, so I think that you could actually, that idea of a battery with that walking around with a projector like that would be actually it's all pretty possible. And then, because I know now that you can get them, they're really tiny, like and the resolutions is 1080, so it is. I would love to walk around, just walk up to buildings that have a big blank wall and just hold the projector up for a little while and move on. So they do that in downtown Vancouver, where they have this parking lot that has a large wall on the building next door. And for the longest time, they did movie nights on like Friday nights at like 10 o'clock or something. So I'm enjoying my beer. What about you guys?
Yep. Hey, anybody get anything happen to them for April Fool's Day?
I didn't. This year was actually relatively. I usually get something from a few people, usually via text message, but I got nothing this year, so I'm kind of happy about that.
Yeah. How are you, Dave?
No, zip. It was just a standard day.
Well,
did any of you guys play the Pac-Man on?
I did. I played on my street, on my parents' street, Brampton, Ontario, for some reason, Toronto.
No?
But the biggest thing that I noticed, Dave, I saw a lot of different things that were related to April Fool's Day, but the April Fool's April Fool's thing that I thought topped everything was Google in Japan made an announcement for Google Panda, and Google Panda is actually a code word for one of their algorithm updates from last year or the year before. But they actually had created a nice one. What did you just open?
Oh, sorry, this flop stall.
Nice.
So the Blanche de Chambly was on special, and I couldn't resist getting my favorite one, which I actually think is the best of the Unibroue beers. It's kind of drier than Fin du Monde. Even though it's a darker beer.
Okay.
Yeah.
To finish my thought, they actually created a bear it's a panda, a doll, that you in theory talk to, and it gives you answers. So what is the weather like today? And it will tell you in this robotic voice what the thing was. And they did an entire presentation. I watched the whole thing from beginning to end. It was a live presentation about this thing. And there were a lot of jabs to Amazon, because Amazon has this device called the Amazon Echo, which is a cylindrical thing you put somewhere in your house, and you can talk to it and ask it, what's the price of blah today? And it will tell you. What's the time is it? It's 5 p.m., Joe, whatever. Kind of a useless technology in a lot of ways, but they definitely were making fun of it because at the very end, they were making fun of that, but at the very end of the presentation, they said, and if by the way, today we're making available the Google Panda, and we're going to be doing two different kinds, the Google Panda 5 and the Google Panda 6. So it was very cute, and you can probably see it on YouTube somewhere. It was quite amusing, and they went all out. They had all kinds of things that were apparently real, and so anyway. But
I have to show you guys one thing. I've sent you guys a link in our group chat window.
Right.
Geek.com. Every year at April Fool's Day, they put out some sort of a product and sometimes they end up turning it into a real thing that you can actually order. And I'm not sure what's going on with this. If this is an April Fool's joke that's
Yeah, they've gone all out of this. They went up to Vasquez Rocks and everything.
If
Wow.
you are a fan of Mad Max movies, you know, the Road Warrior, and of course there was a trailer that came out for the new one recently, you can actually get a Power Wheels that looks like one of those cars from the Wasteland with like a functioning gun turret and flaming exhaust pipes. And there's actually
I have to say, those things
a
look
video
great.
on it that shows these kids enjoying this thing. And it's like this little girl using the gun turret. She looks
Who
like
runs Buttertown? Oh, that's brilliant. And the fact that they went to Vasquez Rocks to shoot this is pretty amazing too. Wow. So here's to the Power Wheels Desert Drifters, boys and girls. If you want to sponsor this particular program, and who wouldn't want to do that, you of course can just pay us in Desert Drifters. So you know, there you go. Because they look epic. So anyway, boys and girls, that sort of wraps up the show today. Kind of a good one for the beginning of April. Now, Alan, I know that people can find you online if they Googled your name, but do you want to give us a shortcut to how you find you and all your stuff?
They can find me on Twitter. Oh,
Well, what's
want me to actually
Yeah,
give
your
the-
Twitter handle, yeah.
Okay. At Alan M. Ford.
Very cool. And Dave, actually, just never mind. So, Locke, Dave, by the way, doesn't have a Twitter account, nor does he have a website, or nor does he do anything online at all. So, so you can't find him anywhere. Google his name, and you'll never find him. You'll find some bodybuilder and a politician, I think, but that's really about it. But of course, you can always find him on the Crafty Boys
Seriously?
website. Locke,
I'm on
where would
G+.
people find you if they wanted to ask you about your opinions related to all kinds of things beer?
My only public face right now is, like, the only social media I fuck around with at all is Twitter, Lockie Fulton.
Nice, nice. Yeah, because that's right, because Locke is one of the few people in the world that does not use Facebook, which is actually kind of nice because I kind of want to be off that thing too. But, and of course I'm Shane, and you can find me always at shanesworld.ca or twitter.com/Shane B, that's Shane B-double-E, where I tweet about all kinds of useless crap
And
that
they
I'm
can
sure is
contact
interesting.
us at thecraftyboys.ca, right?
That's right. Of course, if you want to see anything from this program, you can go to thecraftyboys.ca, which, of course, we have a Twitter account, which we need to utilize more, which is also, I think, Crafty Boys or something. I just
Don't we
want to
have
look
like
that
a
up.
hashtag too or something?
Yes, and if you, of
And
course,
stuff.
want to find anything we tweet about, most of the things we tweet about are hashtag Canadian man stuff. So, or hashtag man stuff, but Canadian man stuff since we're, Canadian.
In Canada.
Yeah, and in Canada and stuff. So thank you again for watching, and we will see you next week, where we eventually will be streaming live, where you can come and join us and talk to us all at the same time. Get ready for that, Dave, because you're going to have to get a Twitter account before that starts.